everyone, I'm Lorraine Driscoll, and this is another episode of Building Better Brains, where each week I talk about why your child might be having a hard time learning, reading, and behaving. And during these exceptional times, I'm not talking so much about all of the details at this point of learning disabilities, ADHD, and so forth, but rather delving into how we can stay sane, how we can manage everything from our emotions to our daily roles and tasks, and finding a sense of normalcy during these really kind of interesting times, if you will. And what I want to talk about today, and I've kind of been delving into a bit in the last few weeks, I've interviewed homeschoolers. Last week I talked about why we need to really focus on emotional fortitude I don't want to say over homeschooling, or that learning at home is not important, but that we need to look at it from a different angle and have a different mindset about it. So basically what I'm seeing is a lot of parents who are pulling their hair out over homeschooling. And it doesn't matter if it's parents who are working, parents who are not working, parents who are working from home, even teachers who, are parenting. It's a lot, and it's a lot to try to and so forth. And I think the first thing that needs to be acknowledged is that different families have different needs. And this is not the time to feel guilty over what you think you should be doing, or what you're not doing, or think you're not doing enough of, or doing too much of. It's really a time I think we're all trying to find our rhythm and trying to create a new sense of normalcy until, or whenever this social distancing, physical distancing comes to an end. So with regards to homeschooling and e-learning, I know that there are certain states and certain provinces that are doing e-learning. There's other places that are not, that are just, telling parents school's over, kind of figure it out. And it doesn't seem to matter what the situation is. Parents seem to be really stressed about that. Even the e-learning is presenting a whole lot of new and unique challenges and so forth to light. Some of the challenges that e-learning can pose, and the inequities with kids with special needs and so forth. So if you are going to do some kind of formal learning at home, whether that's with homeschooling or whether that's with e-learning, the most important thing you can do right now is to create a routine. And I don't want to say every single kid, but it does seem to make a big difference. And I'm going to delve into that in terms of certain strategies that you can use that can help to make this time a little bit more easy, a little bit more sane, and so forth. And I want to be clear, half of these tips and strategies, sure, I've thought of some of them myself, but a lot of them I've either experimented with, but a lot has come from homeschoolers that I've either had as clients or that I've know from different groups and so forth. And so the first thing that I really want to talk about, and I really want to emphasize that I think is so important right now, is structure and space. So we know that most kids, particularly kids with special needs, thrive off routine. We know kids with autism spectrum, the minute we throw a wrench in their plans, that's when the meltdowns and the difficulties and all that type of stuff tends to happen. And for a lot of us, I know particularly in Ontario, we weren't sure when we were going to be going back or if we were going to be going back. And everyone is kind of just in limbo with this 3-week thing. And now we see that that's been extended and to God knows when, if at all, they will be returning to school. And I know in many other states and provinces, there is a no return, this year. So regardless of where you are, the important thing is, I think, to try to find a sense of normalcy and rhythm, and to acknowledge the need for some kind of routine to create a sense of normalcy. And I want to be clear, it's not about go and be uber productive. I think we've all seen, and I'm really glad to see these articles addressing that nobody's feeling overly productive right now, and a lot of us are beating ourselves up over it, feeling like, man, I had all of this time to do this and to do this, and I have this time, and why am I not using it? And a lot of us are exhausted and not realizing how this is a major stressor. Even if something traumatic is not happening to us on a really personal level with us or someone being sick that we care about, just the insane adjustment, the shock of what's happened. So the first thing I want to address is the importance of routine and creating a sense of rhythm, even a sense of purpose, I'm going to go as far as saying, because when we feel like life is on pause, and the same is true for our children, that's going to create a real sense of frustration, of stress, of feeling trapped, I felt that way yesterday when, you know, our prime minister came on and said this could be another year, year and a half. And I know that that doesn't necessarily mean like trapped in our houses for a year and a half, fingers crossed. But when I first heard that, I did go into full panic mode and was just like, oh my goodness, when is this going to end? And so we need to create a sense of that we're moving forward in some way and create that sense of normalcy. And if kids feel like everything is on pause, that's going to feel like everything's on pause because it's not safe. And so we need to create a sense of safety and a sense of purpose even. And if we don't, then that feeling of life being on pause can, as we know for ourselves, create a lot of anxiety, and will do the same for our children. And this can even just totally dysregulate children, really exacerbate symptoms, particularly if you have children who are really emotionally sensitive, whether they're autism spectrum, SPD, you know, whatever the case may be, ADHD. And so this is why structure and even I'm using the word challenge, but something that can create some sort of stimulation for your child that goes beyond screen time. And I don't want to knock that. I know that right now that's been a lifesaver, but some kind of other engaging activity, whether that's e-learning, whether that's homeschooling, whether that's real world learning, whatever the case might be, the structure and this engagement can help to really ground your child, to give them a sense of routine and rhythm and purpose. Because ultimately what routine does is it creates a sense of predictability. Whenever we start saying, okay, you know, from now on, this is our new normal, like every morning at my house, you know, we eat, we get dressed, we have breakfast, and then we do a bit of math homework, and we might do maybe a bit of something